know what the buzz is?
Hey, this is Craig at Willie Farms. If you are interested in beekeeping, this may be the video for you. We're going to start at the very beginning, go through the entire first year, get you through successfully. So if you want to do the most interesting thing you've ever done in your life, keep bees, start here. Hey, this is Craig again at Willie Farms, old guy with a beard. We're going to be going over the very basics of the equipment you're going to need as far as components for a beehive. You need to have this on hand before your bees arrive. All right, so we're going to start from the very basics. Now this is just a demo, just something we can set our stuff on. What you need to do is have a platform that is solid, something is level. Concrete blocks, you can stack them on 4x4s, wooden pallets, something to get it off the ground, and if you can get higher to make it easier for an old guy like me to work on it without having to kneel down. This is number one. This is going to be the base for your hive. We are going to use a screen bottom base. This is what we normally use here at Willie Farms. They do have a solid bottom, and we do use those also. But the screen bottoms let the mites fall through. That's the main advantage of this one. You do get a little air circulation through there, and sometimes it messes with the natural flow of what the bees want. So you want to weigh in on what you want on that one. So that is the first component. Set that on your hive stand first. Okay, your next item is going to be your bottom brood box. This is going to be where the queen and the bees start out. Eggs will be laid here. They will raise their young here. This is a Langstroth 10-frame hive, and that's what we use here at Willie Farms. They do make an 8-frame if you need a little bit lighter weight in this. When we set this on our bottom board, it leaves a gap for the bees to go in and out of. Everything else is sealed around. Next component will be your frames that go inside your bee box for your deep. These are going to be sized for the size of box you're using. This is going to be about a 9 1/4 inch top to bottom. This is a full plastic frame, plastic foundation coated with wax. They also make a wooden frame that you can put a wax foundation in that's coated. They make a wooden frame where you can put in a full wax, natural wax foundation in it. So whatever you choose to use, those will work. Whatever you do, just use one kind. Don't mix them up. That will mess with the bees. They will prefer one over the other, and you'll get some funky looking comb. Okay, what we're going to do next, of course, we're going to put our second one on there after our bees build up in population. We're going to have a second deep on here. But what you're going to put after that is going to be a honey super. But sometimes some people put a queen excluder in between there. It's big enough to let the workers go up, but it will not let the queen go up. We don't use them here at Willie Farms because we don't have a problem with that too much. Some queens may do that. You may need to use one, so keep that in mind. The next thing you would put on after you put your queen excluder, or not, whichever you decide to do, on your second deep would be a honey super. This is where you're going to get your excess honey that the bees are going to produce. Anything above 2 deep boxes you can take. Now, you talk to the beekeepers in your area to see how they work it. But what we do is anything above the 2 deeps is extra honey, excess honey. We get to keep that, and that's what we're going for. This one is going to be a lot more shallow. You're going to use a different type of frame into this, smaller depth, and the bees will put the excess honey in this, and this is what we're looking for. Okay, there's a second option for honey supers. This is a medium that we just put on here. This is a shallow honey super. Usually don't use these. Sometimes we will if we want to produce comb honey. Keep that in mind if that's what you want to do. Okay, Next component will be your inner covers. You can or cannot use them. You can put a cover right on top, but we're going to go over these. This is a screen top cover. It goes right on top, allows for some ventilation, can mess with the natural circulation of what the bees are trying to accomplish in your hive. But that is an option. We do use this in hot weather. Your second option is an inner cover board. Solid board, small hole in the middle. You can also feed through this. The purpose of these, both of them, are to separate this from your top to make this easier to get into. If you just put your top board on top of this, sometimes they will glue that down and you can't get it off. Last item that's going on your beehive, as far as actual components you're going to need, is going to be your top cover. Now, never mind that this looks nasty. It has been used, and we will continue to use this. Bees don't care, okay? We're going to put this cover on top of the inner cover, whichever one you choose, the screen, non-screen. This will shed all the water, okay? So you need to have a coat of paint on this one. This one needs another one. But this finishes this up. So now you have a complete beehive. Next item you want to consider, probably get this, is what I would suggest to you. It's a reducer. This is made for a 10 frame hive, which this is. If you get an 8 frame, make sure yours is made for an 8 frame. This will go in front of the hive like that. We'll leave a small area right there for the bees to go in and out of. This way, with a small population of bees that are in there, they're going to have less to guard. There's also another section of this. You can just turn that around. Makes for a bigger opening when your bees build up in population. All right, when your bees get to a large status, when you put your second deep on, you can remove this entirely. That way, your bees can go in and out freely. They have enough to guard this, plus the circulation that the bees will want through their hive, they can establish. There'll be fanner bees on this side and fanner bees on this side, and they will make an airflow through your hive. All right, the next thing you want to consider is feeding your bees. Once your bees are in here from the package, it's a small colony. It's probably 5,000 bees, give or take a few. If they're not having to go out and search for honey, they can do more within the hive. They will not bring enough in to really support the hive at this stage. So you will probably need to feed them. One way to do it is using the inner cover, got the hole in it, set a mason jar on top of this. This has a perforated lid that will set this on here. You can put a honey super right over the top. Your lid will go on top of this. The hive is completely protected. There will be no robber bees coming in to get that nectar. Okay, next is going to be some equipment that you're going to need to have on hand to use. Some of it you'll use more than others. You'll find preferences that you like better than others. But you're going to need a smoker for the bees. You'll fire this up, blow smoke out here through the pump, the bellows, and this will help keep your bees under control, keep them calm, makes it much easier to work. Got to have one of these, it's a must. Another tool you're going to need to have is going to be a hive tool. This is a basic hive tool. This is a sharp edge here. You will use this to scrape excess propolis, move hive components around, separate the hive. This part here can also be used with leverage, where you can spread part of the frames apart. This is a very good one. Okay, there's several different tools you can get. This one has a frame hook on it. You can use this, leverage, pull your frame up where you can get a hold of it and pull it out. Has a scraper on two edges where you can actually cut into the comb if you need to. Very handy. They make several different ones of those. Another one that I like to have that I don't have on hand with me today is a Kent Williams hive tool. It's a modified standard hive tool with a frame hook already attached. Very handy. Now you may want to buy more than one of these, because eventually you're going to drop one of these and not ever, ever, ever see it again. Another thing you're going to have is a belt loop holder for your hive tool. That slips right in there. Helps keep up with your hive tool so you don't lose as many. Of course, you'll need a belt to go with it to hold it on your waist. Need one. The next tool you will need is a hive brush. Won't use this every time you get into the hives, but if you need to get bees off a frame, this is what you will use, and we will show you how to properly use this at some point, but you will just rake the bees off, not just brush, just kind of rake them off the comb. But you'll need to have one of these, because if you need one, you don't have one, you'll go ahead and get one pretty quick. Okay, the next piece of equipment you probably will want to have on hand, whether you decide to use them or not, is going to be the gloves. These have been used several times. These are goatskin gloves. They're a little thinner, a little more pliable. You can get a heavier glove made of cowhide. Some people do not use gloves. They go in there with bare hands, and that's fine, that's great. But I would have a pair of these on hand in case you get into a really defensive hive. You will have them ready. Okay, the next thing is an inspector jacket. This is a fairly heavy cotton, long sleeve, gathered at the bottom. It's got elastic in the sleeves to help keep the bees out. Also has a veil zippered attached, so you're sealed inside there where the bees are not as likely to get to you. There's a lot of people that do not use the jackets. They'll just use a veil, or some of them will go out there without even a veil on. But being a beginner beekeeper, and I've been in this situation, when you get out there and you first get into bees and they start swarming around you in the hundreds, it makes you just a little uncomfortable. This will help. If you don't have any kind of panics in it, go without it. But have it on hand just in case. Okay, here at Willie Farms, I've been doing this, me and my son AJ, for 10 years, plus, minus. We're not experts by any means. We are not master beekeepers, but we've been in this long enough that we know how to start out, what we need to do, what we don't need to do, because frankly we did a lot of things wrong because we didn't know, and things could have went better if we'd have known. One thing I would suggest you do is find a local beekeeping association or club. You can probably contact your extension office to find that. Here in Western Kentucky, where we're at, we do things differently than they will in Michigan, or in South Florida, or in Alaska. Things are going to be different. The local beekeepers in your area that's been doing this a while will know the ins and outs of beekeeping in your area. So get in touch with them. That is a very, very rich resource that you do not want to count yourself out of. All right, let's go over some rules here that we have learned here at Willie Farms. Me and my sons have learned these the hard way. All right, never, don't laugh, don't ever wear shorts into a bee yard or your apiary, okay? Because a bee will land on you and they will head north. Let me tell you something, and you want a scary feeling, do that. Don't do that. Rule number 2, always take a lit smoker with you into the bee yard. Okay, don't try to get into a hive, I don't care how calm they are, without a smoker, please. You will find that very useful in the future. We found it very unuseful when we did that without a smoker. Rule number 3, do not wear a cap under your veil. The story to that is, I went out there without a smoker. I was just going to pull the top of the hive off, move something, set it right back on. Simple procedure. No smoker, hat on. Soon as I broke the hive loose, the hat fell right down in front of my face. I could not see anything. Had to blindly try to put this hive back on the very, very angry bees because I did not use a smoker. All right. Rule number 4. Try not to mess with bees at night if you can help it. They don't fly, they crawl. And they will crawl up anything they can crawl up or in. Very scary thing when you get back into your truck and you start finding bees that have crawled in some very bad places. Okay, remember those rules, okay? Have fun.